Hi, welcome in. Welcome. Welcome as people arrive into the space for this live reading. I usually have a few people that show up. Um, Thank you for being here. I'm going to go ahead and get started. One thing I remembered though is that you can't go back at the beginning of the live stream like you can when it's premiering. Like if you miss the beginning of a premiering video, you can go back to the beginning and watch it from the start. And I forgot you can't do that with a live stream. So I understand more why people wait now until people start arriving onto your stream before they start talking, mainly just because then you have to catch people up if nobody's been there when you started. So I don't know. I'll try to decide over time whether I want to do live streams like that where I wait or not. I guess for now I'll just go ahead and get started. One thing I did do that's different is I pulled preliminary cards, which I don't always do ahead of a reading, but I like that. I've noticed with readers that I like and whose work I enjoy. I'm not very centered here. Let me get a little bit better centered. I like when they've already got cards pulled and the like beginning of the story picked up as the video opens. So I did that for this live. And initially, it's so interesting. I love cards because initially the three tarot that I pulled were the Queen of Wands, the Six of Wands, and the Queen of Pentacles. And then I also pulled a speech, like a text card, for a message from Spirit about the situation, not necessarily a message from the parties involved, but from Spirit to us, the collective, about this reading and what's going to come out. And the message was, I love you. And so I thought, wow, that's very powerful. Spirit's trying to comfort us in the collective from something here. Hi, I see someone in the chat. Thanks for being here. I was just starting to describe the preliminary cards that I pulled. And also the way, I'll mention this again at some point in the layout, but if you have personal questions that you want to ask me at the end of this spread, go ahead and put one in the chat and I'll try to answer questions at the end because I enjoy doing that. So what I had just been saying is that the preliminary cards I pulled were the Queen of Wands, the Six of Wands, and the Queen of Pentacles. And then I also pulled a message from Spirit card about the layout itself, which was, I love you, to us, which is like, wow, Spirit's comforting us here. But when I looked at the tarot, at first glance, I was like, how cool. This is going to be a card reading for a friendship, like a relationship among two queens that are working together, either in a love relationship or in a friendship. But it's two queens. It's interesting. Like I was interested immediately, and they're going to be having some kind of a success together. But then as I started looking more into it, I was like, wait a minute, the Queen of Pentacles is in reverse. And I've been opening up to reading reversals more because sometimes it just helps you get more nuance and detail and get there faster than if you have to pull clarifiers, right? So I was like, oh, the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. I wonder if this is a conflict between these two people, the Queen of Wands and the Queen of Pentacles. And it's the clarifiers I pulled show that, yeah, it is a conflict. It's a love triangle here. And what happens is the collective is in the Queen of Wands position here. This is us or you, whoever this reading is for, right? Because it's probably going to be pretty specific, is what I feel so far. There is a new start in this Queen of Pentacles is sort of like an adversary to you, for lack of a better word. You're not working together. You're working at cross purposes. You have the same goal, but it's a competitive one, right? Like, so she's an adversary basically. And so it's saying that this queen is pregnant. She's going to have a baby. And so the choice that you had hoped for, and we're going to pull more because this reading is going to be a positive reading. I can already feel it. This is showing what is going to be confirmation for someone that you've been disappointed to learn or been suspecting and are about to learn that this other party in this love triangle is going to have a baby. And so it's like the end of the road. And you maybe had hoped to reunite with this lover that's the third party here in the equation between you and this other queen. And it's saying that things are going to be balancing out. You're almost to the end of this sorrowful time. I know it feels like you're never going to get there. It feels like you're inching along at a snail's pace to get out of this sorrowful situation and into the new, into something new, because you've had to give up and walk away from this love triangle. And it's been sorrowful for you. It's been sorrowful, and it made you feel powerless and maybe even strung up or paralyzed, and like it was happening against your will. And you may have really had trouble moving on. And this is coming out to be an affirmation that spirit sees you and you're being witnessed for the difficult position that you're in and the difficult thing that you've been through. Because there's sorrow here in love, and it's showing that this success that you may have hoped for with this party that you were in a triangle over is not going to happen. And again, this is for someone who's already on this road and understanding this or suspecting this or already sad about it. Okay, if you came on here like, oh my god, I feel so great about my twin flame and I can't wait to hear a love reading, this isn't for you. Okay, this is not that. This is not something that's going to come in here and devastate you and drop you from the heavens down to black sorrow, right? Okay, it's not that. This is for someone who already has kind of wondered about this or is in the know. So that's the situation, is that there's been a triangle and now there's a pregnancy. And so you've had to sort of face this painful truth and figure out your next moves. That's where we're at now at this point of the reading. So I'm going to pull some more cards now. We'll just see what else wants to come through. And so everybody in the chat knows I can't see the chat from where I am, and I don't have enough bandwidth usually to have a separate screen by me to read your questions as they come in. So I have to do it the kind of janky way and get up at the end of this layout, and then I'll come in and see if there's any questions. Oh yeah, there were channeled messages too that came through for me while I was on my walk, and that it's going to have relevance here too. So when I was on my walk, I walk a lake that has like an arboretum. It's got a lot of trees from all over the world planted there that have been growing for a long time, including 3 coast redwoods, which is really wonderful. They're awesome. They're one of my favorite parts of walking that lake trail is walking past those tree spirits. They're older ones. They've been there clearly maybe, I don't know, like around 100 years, it looks like, possibly, or more, maybe more like 200. I'm not sure. But anyways, coast redwoods grow so fast. I'm not as dialed into their lifespans and what they grow like each year. But when I was walking by, it's a beautiful day here, and the sun is out and it's warm, and it was warming the oils in the trees as I walked by. And I had a really powerful flashback to when I worked in Sequoia National Park. Sequoias and redwoods are closely related trees. They're wise ones, they're ancient ones, right? Really a privilege to be around and take their medicine in just by being in their presence, right? And so in Sequoia National Park, I worked in part of the park called Giant Forest, where that's now closed. People don't live there anymore. You can only go through there for the day because there was too much human impact on the ecosystem. So they closed down that area. It's been there since like the Depression. And where I worked, there's a lot of, the General Sherman tree, one of the most famous trees in the US, is there where I lived. And they're amazing trees. They're like thousands and thousands of years old. I think the General Sherman tree is estimated around 4,000 years old. And firefighters saved it from the wildfires in California a couple years ago. But anyways, I could smell what the sequoias smell like in late summer in that California heat. And it smells amazing. I love it. And it takes me back to a really happy time in my life working there. It was really fun. And there were 2 parts to the memory that it wanted me to share on here because it'll have meaning. The first one was when I worked there, I had a colleague that asked me at one point, because we both were really into hiking. Not everybody that worked up there was into the outdoors, surprisingly. Some people just partied in their cabin on their days off and they didn't really go out and explore the park. But my friend and I were hikers, And we did. And he was like, hey, have you ever heard about the lost hidden grove? And I was like, no, what's that? And he was like, it's a trail. It's an unmarked trail towards an old growth grove of sequoias. And it's, you take this, that, and the other road. The directions were kind of sketchy. And I decided I was going to take the hike on one of my days off and find it. And I did. And I was more adventurous back then than I would be now. Like, I'm still an adventurous hiker, but I don't do a lot of unmarked, questionable trails, especially way out in the wilderness, like a national park. I'm a lot more careful. But I went out looking for this grove of sequoias, and I was looking and looking and looking, and finally I started realizing I think I must have taken a wrong road or something. I'm not even on the right trail, because I should have found this grove by now, and I don't even feel like it's anywhere near. And so I was disappointed, and then I started even get a little bit panicked, like, what if I made the wrong turn on the trail, because I made a couple turns on the trail based on my directions, right? So anyways, as I was starting to get freaked out and literally on the verge of turning around and giving up, I walked right into the grove, and it was like a cathedral. It was so beautiful. And it's like there was a different level of quiet as soon as I stepped into that grove. It was stunningly beautiful. It was like the spirits of those trees were witnessing me arrive. There was nobody around. I didn't see anyone, not one other soul this whole day. And I just have chills even remembering it, because I literally almost gave up. I was right there, and I almost turned around, and I would have missed out on it totally. But instead, I kept going a little bit. I have chills. I kept going a little bit further, and I reached the, I reached the Shangri-La that I was looking for. It was so beautiful. And I spent like an hour there just sitting, and I'm going to start crying. I don't know where it's coming from, but it's really a great memory. So maybe you're about to give up, and this is saying don't give up, because you're on the threshold. You're on the threshold. You're about to get there. Don't give up, because the reward is going to be so worth it. All the fear, all the doubt. Sorry, that's very unexpected. I didn't know where that was going to come from or what. The other memory is funnier and a little bit lighter, and it's the first day that I got to Sequoia. I was 17. I turned 18 there. Or no, that's not right. Sorry. I was 18. I got there. I was 18. I rolled into the park. Met the guy that told me, oh yeah, this is going to be your cabin. Now you got to go down to personnel. That's what it was called, personnel back then. They didn't even call it HR yet. And so he was like, go down to personnel and get your keys and whatever, and sign all your W-9 and everything, right? So I go down there, and I'm waiting out front personnel at this cabin in the middle of the woods, right, in the high Sierras. And this guy comes up, and he's like, howdy. And he's all got this drawl, and he's an older dude in his late 60s, right? And I'm like, oh, hi, kind of bullshitting with him. And he's like, well, I work here over for grounds and roads. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm here. I don't know yet. I'm not sure. Maybe a dishwasher or a housekeeper. And he was like, well, what do you need? I've got everything. I've got smack. I've got crank. I've got cry. Like, he just out of nowhere, right? This like dude in his late 70s or maybe early 70s. I'm 18. We're like literally right outside the personnel office. And I remember just thinking like, wow, I'm really in California, because I wasn't from California. I was from Washington. And it was such I still love that memory to this day. Like, man, I'm in California now. Nobody would ever say that where I live, right? Like, it was just really funny. So maybe you're kind of feeling a little bit like shit's about to get really interesting, or wow, I'm a fish out of water too, or something like that might be in play. So that's good stuff. Those are good memories. I'm glad I didn't forget. So they're going to have meaning for someone. So now I'll just pull a couple of these cards. We could use it because this is maybe a sad message to be reflecting on right now about this triangle. But Spirit's saying they've got you. They're, if this is your reading, you're being held and witness for the sad news that you may have received, that you had maybe hoped you were going to get to have a new start with this lover, but they're going to stay with this partner because they're going to have a baby. Obsessed with politics, MAGA conspiracy. So some people that are like that might be involved here. um, Norse trolldom, Valkyrie pantheon, right? So the Norse gods might be here. Hopefully, we're not talking about a white supremacist. I'm not interested in reading. I'm just going to say to everybody present, I'm not interested in reading for a white nationalist or somebody who has taken up the Norse gods as like a white supremacy type vibe here. So get out if that's your energy. I'm not interested. I don't want to read for you. Dark Coven, Dark Masons, and Eastern Stars. Okay, well, we're getting into something here. So this little relationship reading might have more to it than just a sad heartbreak. There might be more happening. So now that we've pulled those cards, I'll go ahead and pull a tarot layout now, a full spread, and we'll see what you need to know. Thank you for being here. And then I'll go ahead and answer questions because it looks like maybe there's a few people in here and you might have questions, and that might, if this isn't your reading, since you're here, I would like to prioritize you if you have questions. So. What do we need to know, Spirit, about that situation? Okay, so it's really how that text card came out to say I love you from Spirit to the person who's kind of going through this loss and disappointment about this triangle. It's here again because that message is coming through. You're being witnessed for how sad this has made you. This person is in some kind of a situation that they either don't want to get themselves out of or they don't know how to get out of. It really put you in a place of feeling very burdened and bogged down and sad. Justice is coming for you, though. That's the message that you need to know. If this was your reading, is that your justice is here, and that's why Spirit is coming through, because they want you to hold on. They don't want you to give up. You might have taken that news really, really hard. I'm feeling that sadness again about not giving up before you step into that cathedral. So your justice is coming for you, okay? If you're the one that found yourself on the painful end of that triangle, justice is coming for you. This is you. You feel very in a Queen of Swords. You felt like a Queen of Wands, and that this was your king, okay? Because that's in the cornerstone is the King of Wands. You really felt like you were going to be together. You felt like it was fated, that it was destined. It was pretty devastating to have it not shake out that way. It was a very difficult truth, but you're fierce in accepting the truth. You're someone who I can tell is not lying to yourself. You believe and realize, I have to face the truth here. I can't, it's not ever going to happen. This person's going to have a child. They have every right to decide to stay with the mother of their child. I don't want to interfere with something like that. This is the kind of person that you are, but you're sad. A Queen of Swords isn't somebody that goes crying to her friends about this. You might be really going through it by yourself, like a dark night of the soul. You're in the upright, though, here, where you're not running from the truth. You faced the truth, and you're grieving. What's important to know is that justice and joy is coming for you, because at the very heart of this is the Nine of Cups. So this is a super, I keep wanting to cry again. It's a really auspicious card for you. Don't give up. This was not it. Okay, this was not it. It felt like it, I guess. And that's why it's been so like, this is the kind of sorrow I keep tapping into where you're like, why did you do this to me, God? Like, why did I even have to go through this? And I've been there totally more than once where I've been like, I don't need to learn a sorrowful lesson anymore, God. Can I stop learning the loss and the grief lessons. Okay, I think I've had enough of them in my life. And so I identify with that feeling. And this is saying, hang on, you're almost there. You're almost there. You're almost there. Okay. This is going to be a distant memory. Your shadow is feeling wounded and like watching and waiting, and you feel disempowered. Your shadow, it might have been kind of a blow to your ego. And so it makes you feel disempowered. You're a queen, but you might feel like a page of swords, right? Even though you're a queen, you're facing the truth. But it's got you feeling stung, right? Like it hurts not to be chosen. I remember when my first marriage, I was so in love. I was so in love with my husband, and he just wasn't in love with me. It just was what it was. He thought he wanted to be with me because he knew I would be good for him, because I'm a good person, because he truly liked and respected me, but he wasn't in love with me. He tried. He tried to make himself be in love with me so that we would be happy and he could heal and all that, right? And I was so brokenhearted when he chose to live a life of like open relationships and dating whoever and live partying and living it up. And you make me feel tied down. And he never said those things, but that was the effect. He was always trying to get away from me, get out, stay out, go AWOL for several days, fuck other women, get high, use, have group sex. Like he really was partying. And it was really heartbreaking for me. And it really hurt my ego. It wasn't about me, okay? It was about him and where he was in life. It didn't have anything to do with whether I was good enough, right? But at the time, I was too young to understand that. And that's exactly how I felt. I was a queen of swords, but I felt like a page. I was like, I just feel unattractive, unexciting, not good enough, not fun enough, like a nag, like his mom, right? It was a horrible way to feel. It took me a long time to get over that, truly. He didn't do that to me, right? That was just life. I chose to be in that relationship. I was a grown adult. I'm not trying to throw him under the bus here, right? It was a lesson, maybe for him too, right? What you know when you're not feeling so in your shadow is that you're an empress, and it's the truth. It's all coming for you. You don't have to do anything else. You've lived through your lessons, you've cried, you've learned, you've walked the solo path, you've healed, you've done all your work. You're acknowledged for it here as this Empress card. You don't have to earn love. You don't have to go out and prove to someone you're worthy of being loved or being chosen or being identified as the special someone to someone. You will have that. That's what this is saying. It's all coming for you. You will have that. Go within and you'll know that what I'm saying is true. It stings right now. This is sorrowful. I don't know what all this dark coven, obsessed with MAGA and Norse trolldom. It might have been that there was esotericism involved here, and that you're both part of a spiritual community or a magic practicing community. There may have been outside interference. Other people may have interfered with the relationship, which happens, right? When there's haters, people that don't want to see two people be happy because they're not happy themselves or whatever, right? And I don't even know, that's just all speculation, okay? I don't know that that's the circumstance here. So now that we know that, what's some advice for you? What's some advice now that we know that you don't have anything to worry about? You're grieving and that's okay. What's some advice for you before we clear it out? I could kind of get into the drama and figure out like who's the third party and why weren't you, but it was right there. I mean, it was like there was a pregnancy and the new life that you wanted with this person isn't going to happen because they chose to stay with the mom. And so it's like, well, I don't want to get into the drama of that. Sometimes I like those readings where it gets way into the detail and the story, but for some reason it just doesn't feel right here. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to pull some advice for you and then see if there's any questions I can answer. And I'll just say this too, because someone put a smile on my face yesterday. I had a really great feeling, and I haven't had that in a long time, where I felt truly hopeful again and optimistic when this person put this smile on my face. It was really a good feeling. And I noticed this morning that I didn't, for the first time, that person, because that person has put many smiles on my face, but this was the first time that I didn't start worrying about that right afterwards. Like, well, what does that mean? Am I ever going to see them again? And what if I mean, yeah, it's great, but what are they doing? Where are, I couldn't just enjoy it and feel that in the moment. And this morning I noticed that and I was like, wow, that's really progress, because in the past you would have worried and gotten attached and started trying to interpret this and all, and I didn't. I just purely enjoyed the moment. I enjoyed the two songs that person sent me. It put a huge smile on my face and a laugh in my heart and my gut. It was so great. And that is going to happen for you. That is going to happen for you. I don't know why, like, you're not going to have to worry. The situation that's on the horizon for you is going to be one where you don't have to worry. You're just going to get to enjoy. You're not going to be worried. Like Safe, like Cardi B's song, okay, that's just coming out. Somebody that makes you feel safe. What's some advice? The sheep and blackberry and the beaver and birch. So I'm not going to read from the book because I can feel exactly what this is saying. It's saying right now, you're like this sheep. Okay, a sheep is very vulnerable and gentle and sweet, right? Sheep are not mean, aggressive animals. They're docile and sweet. And I'm not saying you're weak here, but you feel very vulnerable in the sorrow and you need to protect yourself right now. Just protect yourself and go within. Like it said, that hermit card, just go within and you'll know your truth. You know that joy is coming. You know that this isn't the end. You're just in the temporary sorrow, licking your wounds. And while you're in that temporary sorrow, licking their wounds, protect yourself. Surround yourself with thorns. Do a smoke cleanse, take a salt bath, do some protection spells around your home. Anything to just help you feel like you have the safe space you need to heal from the sadness. And you're not going to be in this energy for very long. It kept saying you're right on the precipice, right? That was that whole memory of stepping into that beautiful grove. You're right there. I can't believe how close I was to not seeing it. It's like why it's one of my favorite stories, because it was so close. I was so close to not making it. And this is that, okay? You just need to rest a little bit longer. Because with the beaver and birch, birch is very healing, protective medicine, and beavers are very productive, joyful, healing little spirits. There's a time for production and getting back into action, and it'll show up quickly, and you'll recognize it, and you'll know what it is. It's just not right now. Right now is okay to just kind of go within and heal, right? And I'm sorry that you're hurting, but you know that you're an empress. You know that your joy is coming. It just hurts right now. It might be cold comfort right now. This reading might be a little bit of cold comfort, because it's like, yeah, but I want someone to cherish what right now. Like, I don't want to wake up alone anymore. I'm tired of it. Like, where's my lever, right? Like, I hear you, So you have my respect for everything that I can kind of feel like you've gone through. So now I'm going to get up, get my little fanny up, and see if I can see about any questions that you might have. Oh, that's nice. I've got some trolls in here. Well, I guess I'm not going to be answering any questions because I just got some people trolling. So much love to you all, and I'll see you next time.